Doug Ross.
Agenda review and disposition?
I'm all set, Madam Chair. We will need the non-public session for a personnel for co-curricular.
No one here. Student report, no. I guess you're on again, Mr. Halloran. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Approval of the minutes from January 2nd?
Yes.
Wow. All right, they were posted unless there are any corrections or amendments. They stand approved as written. Now you can go.
All set?
Thank you.
I'm pleased to report that all 5 seats that are up for election are covered with candidates. Incumbents Cappy, Lisa, Phil, and Barbara are running unopposed. And Kate Shaw is running in Thornton. Kate's a former student here and is taking the seat that Melinda is vacating. So, Melinda, I just want to publicly say thank you. You filled in an unexpired term, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Did incredible work as a member of the Thornton School Board, and thought she had snuck away, but now she really can sneak away. We won't bother you, but thank you so much. And Madam Chair, the only other issues I have would either be under committee reports or the discussion item.
All right, thank you. Mr. Parsons?
Same, Madam Chair. What Mr. Allen doesn't cover the committee, I'll fill in the blanks. But we've begun second term. Midterms, we're reviewing the midterm schedule. I sent an email out to the staff from myself and the superintendent to look at the schedule for next year. Mr. Price will be sharing those comments with me towards as we get closer to doing the calendar. The NEAC, where it looks like we've got strand 3, 4, and 5 waiting for faculty approval. I saw they went out online to the staff, so we'll be looking for comments on any recommendations that they have regarding that. I'll keep you informed in there. So Mr. Price and Mr. Orlando have done a wonderful job of keeping the staff on task, completing that project. And again, when Mark talks about the facility, we'll talk about the big moves we have planned coming up the next couple of weeks that, so as we get prepared for the CTA. Other than that, Madam Chair, we're looking forward to Winter Carnival at the end of the month.
All right, thank you. Committee progress reports. And who is here from facilities?
I can do facilities if
Please.
I'm happy to. We met and on January the 22nd, and the first thing we did was we looked at the CTE updated timeline and the bidding process, and basically we're on a timeline to vacate the CTE center at the start of winter break, and Mr. Parsons and the staff in the building have found spaces for all of our programs contained within the building. We originally thought we would be using one of the elementary schools as a site, but it's worked out that we don't need to do that. So we will remain here, and then the demolition of this building will begin during February vacation, and this part of the building will be off limits for everyone from here on out until after Labor Day when we get ready to open. On the architectural side of things, John Francis and the staff from CCI have spent awful lot of time nailing down the final documents that we go out to bid, and have done a really good job. It's going to really limit the number of change order requests and things like that. They've picked up a lot of the omissions, and we moved some things around, and so I think John's work is going to save us a lot of money. Just his attention to detail as Chris Solomon finishes up the drawing of the documents and all of the specs that go with the documents. The bidding process will begin shortly, and there are a number of local contractors who will be asked to bid on pieces of this project. I know CCI goes out of their way to make sure that we keep as much money as close to home as possible. And so anybody who wants to, is qualified and wants to bid on this project has been in touch with Jeff, and they've done some walkthroughs of the building to clarify any questions they may have with the documents. So we'll see, I think we'll see a number of local subcontractors here in the building. So that's off and running. Internally, Todd Austin and Randy are working with the facility to move parking around. As you know, parking will become an issue on this campus. We'll be using the what we used to call the old hockey rink lot where we have faculty parking. That's going to be a parking area and a staging area for the construction folks. So that's going to be off limits. So we'll be using the back basketball court area and that frozen area around it for some parking, and people have been assigned to different spots. Well, they've been actually asked, would you like to be here or like to be there, and then the assignments go from there. We'll also be using the north wing, out in front of the north wing for a while the ground is solid. The real trick will be mud season, when we can't use some of that space. So we will be, once we get everything situated while the ground is frozen, then we'll begin planning on what we're going to do during mud season. One of the fallouts, and you may hear from some of your constituents, we will not be handing out parking passes to sophomores to get their license. There's just no room for it. Yeah, I know some people, I'm sure, will be outraged, but if you remember back to when we had 900 kids in the school, very few sophomores got parking passes. They had to be going off to jobs or some special circumstance. So it's nothing new in this facility. It's just we're back to having to do that just because of lack of space. Plymouth Elementary has offered, but they have very few parking spaces. That between people coming and going and all the folks that work there, there are very few parking spaces. But we appreciate them, saying, well, we'll help however we can. And so we'll make it work. John is beginning, you'll see some storage trailers. We're beginning to bring some things into storage trailers, and that's where the belongings are going. And Bruce and Bob and Randy have worked with Eric at the State Department of Ed. Some of the kitchen equipment that we can't use anymore, don't use, will be going off to other CTE centers throughout the state, which is a credit to us in terms of one, not having to get rid of it, and two, that it's still being used in the CTE center, and that's what the federal money was for, so it would be used by kids. So that's where we are at the moment. Bruce, do you want to add?
Just piggyback, the 19th, Mr. Howard is planning to, that's your subcommittees, and we're hoping to use that night too as a school board meeting.
Yes.
That'll be their last night here.
Down underneath discussion items, I'd like to, it's a relatively light night, and in years past, we even haven't had the meeting. But I'd like to have the committee meetings, and just to update you on construction and things like that, and get everything done on Monday night, the 19th, so that you don't have to come back on the 20th.
That'll be your last meeting in here,
in this room,
and then we'll be moving the meetings to the cafeteria where we'll assemble there. It's also the first day. We're gonna break in rather than come back from vacation. We're gonna shut the parking down, and that'll be all roped up and fenced in. So that'll be the first day for the new parking that Mr. Allen just explained to you. So the people that'll be out back and Merrill Street, that entrance will be open just for teachers. And then the piece, we're moving the dumpsters to the front. It'll be the right of my office. And so we'll get a good glimpse for that first week of what that's gonna look like parking. Then over that vacation, if you went into the kitchen now, they're completely boxed up, ready to go. That's the same in autos. That's the same upstairs in special ed. All those moves will happen. So over the vacation, those boxes will be put in storage, and their rooms are set up. They coordinated with Ryan Potter, the teachers, and Mr. Francis and his staff. So when they come back from vacation, There's about 9 different programs that I've got moved into different areas. And obviously it's going to be a unique experience, with the culinary going. They purchased these software programs. They look pretty good for hands-on classes, so we're kind of excited to see that move. But that first week we'll do the parking, and when the teachers leave on Winter Carnival, they come back, this whole part of the building will be closed down. So we'll take it from there. Getting ready for the hammer and nails.
And then the chair signed construction documents with CCI, signed a contract, and so that those contracts were reviewed by legal counsel and also by our business administrator, Dan Rossner. So felt comfortable giving to the chair, and she reviewed them and then signed them. And Madam Chair, I think that was the facilities report.
All right, thank you. Policy and
I was
budget.
going to be giving a report.
You. Count on it for, I don't
I
know
will
what
now,
Ross
yes.
is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Correct, the meeting on the.
The policy and budget minutes for January 22nd. We did the agenda review and disposition, there were no changes. We did the minutes, there were no changes. Mr. Hallen reviewed the revenues, and we are at 53% of our revenue received to date, and that is okay, Mr. Hallen? That is on task with what we normally are. Appropriations update, Mr. Hallen reviewed the appropriations report to date with the committee, and it seems that we are also on task with appropriations. So, not only revenues, but appropriations. Ashland School District Memorandum of Understanding, Mr. Deacon questioned the legality of the Ashland School Board entering into an agreement with the Penny Baker Cooperative School Board. Mr. Howland will work on the language of the proposed Memorandum of Understanding and bring it back to the committee for further review.
Yes, if I could expand on that a little bit, Peter. And what Mr. Deachman basically said was there was, within the draft document that came up from Ashland, there were pieces that pertain to the Pemmy Baker Regional School District and pieces that pertain to School Administrative 48, and they're both different political subdivisions. So what the committee said based on that was they requested that I sit with Mary Moriarty, the superintendent of SAU2, rework 2 documents, one for the Pemmy Baker School District that applied to the Ashland School District interacting with the Pemmy Baker School District, and then the other document would be SAU2 interacting with SAU48. So I have communicated that to Mary actually today, and she'll be reporting that to the Ashland School Board at their next meeting, and then Mary and I will work on that. So hopefully we'll have the Pemmy Baker Ashland agreement sometime in April or May, and we will have the SAU agreement for you to review at the SAU hearing, SAU meeting, which is in late May. So that's where we are.
Thank you, Mr. Halloran.
You're welcome.
There was no other business, and we had no non-public session at this meeting, and the motion was made by Mr. Pettingill to adjourn, and we adjourned.
Thank you.
So program and staffing, so we're bringing to the board the Interact Club. Brian Sutherland will be the advisor, and it's a partnership with the Rotary Club, so our students can experience some leadership and community building skills. It will not be a monetary obligation to the district. However, there's potential income from the Rotary that might support some programs down the road. We'll explore that. Yeah, so that's, I think that's, you want to do that now or in the
Sure.
end? Or, okay,
So
so,
coming from committee is the motion to establish
yes.
the Interact Club. All those in favor? Looks like it's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, and then the CTE Center is going to, Mark is working with Bruce and Lena and Mr. Clary on an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding with PSU for the potential of PRHS Media Arts and Video Productions alongside of college credits, and the college is going to share some of their expertise with us, and we're gonna put it in
Right.
writing so everybody knows, Bruce, what the
It'll be
our
college
players are.
credit, so it was a big deal. Lena worked extremely hard at putting that articulation agreement together with the college. They were excited too, especially with the new facilities that's coming on board here. So that was a big deal.
That's great.
Yep.
That's great. So, and we'll be looking for a presentation in the spring
Yes.
for what
She'll
that looks
come with
like.
Yeah, she'll
Okay.
come with a PowerPoint presentation for you
Okay.
to go over the details with that's involved.
And then we'll accept it at the time.
Yep.
and- Okay, bring it to the full board.
If I
Okay,
could,
great.
Madam Chair, do you want to elaborate on the meeting with Newfound that we just had when they were here and they talked about the media arts and being offered to the Newfound kids as well?
Yes, we did.
Lena made a presentation.
Lena made we had Mr. Clary of the vocational or career tech director. We're required to hold a number of regional advisory meetings to fulfill our obligations with our sending school. And it encompasses the superintendents of both districts, the principals of both schools, and guidance. At that meeting, Lena made a full presentation of the new program that will be offered to Newfound students too. They have a facility down there. It won't be as elaborate as the one that we're putting in here, but they were very excited to. They had asked for Lena's expertise, and she met with a couple of the teachers in Newfound to look at their curriculum and to kind of match it up with what we're proposing here. Because that will be offered to, and I know it's going to be a popular program too for those students. For our students, it could be a 3-year deal, but we difficult for Newfound, but they're definitely on a 2-year program. So it was exciting that they had already started a small. Let me just check. So
Certainly.
Your generators at work.
We know they work.
We know they work.
Good. Well, would SCC like to go ahead and report while you're waiting?
Sure. We met last night. It was a very small attendance. We had hoped to vote on bringing forward a document to the board for your approval, but because we had such low attendance, we're not going to do that at this point in time. We did go through what was presented, and we made some recommendations to that presentation, and we would like to wait another meeting till we have more students with us to go through it. I'm referring to vote on the senior seminar proposal. We basically have concluded our discussions on that, and that will be coming forth. Okay. It's very comprehensive right now. We're going to narrow down the scope, what actually will come to the board for its approval. So that's basically what the thrust of our meeting was, and we departed early, which was unusual because of the low attendance. So that's coming.
The other piece I'll just add that I was really impressed with the SCC meeting, just narrowing down who the voting members are, because each class has a vote, but the discussion started on, well, who determines, lots of times we'll have multiple students from each class, and so who actually gets a vote when we make a vote for like a senior seminar. So I just want to say, I think the kiddos are doing a great job working with advisors and et cetera to determine who that voting person is for each of the classes. So really kind of narrowing down the voting parties and who really they are, kind of standardizing that whole process, which I think is fantastic.
Would it be possible, is it even proper to request that maybe each member or each component group represented at the SCC have a copy of the SCC document that we are governed by?
it's online. It's on the webpage, so
It seems to be something that we bring up all the time for a review, like, what is it, what is our role? And Patricia Rilla has done an excellent
Yep.
job, I think, with trying to hash that out this year, but it would be nice if...
Well, the membership does change, Barbara, so, it is, they elect the teachers. There's 5 members of the teachers. Obviously, the kids change too, so when you have a different chairman, But it is posted online, the rules and regulations that was passed by this board years ago, so.
Specifically by name, the representatives change as
Yes.
does our membership on
Correct.
the board. But the component individuals, like on this board, we have like 1, 2, 3 representatives from each town. We know that. We may not know who they are by name, but the component members. It would be nice if we had that document and the guiding document. So if everybody knows that they can get that online, it would be great, because we seem to keep rehashing this information. I'll bring it up.
One piece that does need to change, and I don't know how it changes, is in the bylaws, it does state that there's 3 school board members.
Correct.
So I don't know how that changes.
That doesn't change. It doesn't change. You guys, one of the major issues and dilemmas that they faced is trying to get members. At our last meeting, they asked me, what are some of the strategies that I've used. I mean, I have a piece in the Bobcat Beat every 8 pieces that goes out for the progress reports and the report card, asking parents to join. Because we do not have a principals roundtable or a parent group. That is the group that I would use for those issues. So encouraging parents to join has always been, a dilemma for them. So when you do get 2 or 3 people from the same town, that's when the chairman has to work it out, because they don't vote that often. But when they do get to vote, the ground rules have to be established. You may have 5 people from Canton, but they only get 1 vote. The kids, it's always been just, it's never been defined. The Constitution did not define that it'll be the president of the 9th grade or the 10th grade. They've always been allowed to work that out themselves. So,
Right, but the school board, in the bylaws, it says there's 3 school board members.
yeah, 2, and I think 1 alternate. I think
It's
there's
listed
3.
as 3.
Oh, it's 3.
That's
So
correct.
shouldn't it be 2 and 1 alternate?
Originally, I thought, that it was 2 members and the alternate. That's what I thought. And
was
7
our understanding
town
as well.
members, 4 students, the principal, 2 support staff members.
So I don't know how that changes. I don't know. I mean,
I know that.
can we change that? or-
You guys can change it because you guys wrote the bylaws.
Yeah, there needs to be
school board.
continuity.
The school board, correct.
There needs to
School
be
board.
continuity. I brought this up
Yep.
before.
Yeah.
We here say 2 members and an alternate. The committee says 3 members. So are we 3 or 2?
You originally were 2 in an alternate. That's how I recollect.
That's what all the paperwork
Correct.
said when I
Yes.
was the alternate a couple of
Bingo.
years ago.
Yeah.
Right, and that's
So I don't know what
how
happened
we here
there.
remember. But
Somewhere it
they're
got
working on a
translated.
document that says 3.
I gotta be, we're very fortunate that both Melinda and Barbara show up too, so
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
So we do
to
need
know.
to clarify
Yeah.
that. I don't know how we do that, if we restate it from here, or if we look at.
Why don't we,
what's
you wanna
online.
relook at I'll have, at the next meeting, maybe the superintendent can put the bylaw, and Janice can run it off, and we'll take a look at those
I think that would be
bylaws,
a
and
good
take a
idea.
look at what you wanna do.
Yeah, let's see what's on.
Fine, yep, we can do that.
Lisa, you finished up before you,
I did. I think the meeting with Newfound went extremely well, and the relationship between the 2 schools, I think, is only going to continue to grow, because it's going to be a program, I think, that's going to be extremely helpful to both schools, and, so they're excited to, as we move forward with that. So there'll be a piece of that articulation agreement too in the college as we move forward too.
Great, and then Bruce, too, the other one was the state program approval. So it looks like we'll have media arts and video production class, and it will be eligible for the Perkins grant.
Yep.
And Randy and Lena will work on the curriculum, or she's already pretty much put it all together.
Yes, yeah, it's been an approved curriculum. It has been approved by the state. It takes an awful lot of work to do that, and kudos to Lena McLean for doing that. So now it's an approved program, eligible for federal funds, and so we're very pleased by it, and we should be able to attract folks to come into that program.
Yeah, I'm extremely impressed with Mrs. McLean. The kids love her. She does such a great job, what she produces out of her classroom. It's such high end. We were just so lucky to have her.
I think you saw the step up video she did with her kids too. It spoke for itself. So, and she had a limited time to produce that video too, so it was well received.
And that's the future. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
17
what we
minutes
need.
of student production was outstanding, well done.
She's just great. These two great programs for us.
All right.
Great.
And, yeah, Madam Chair, that's one piece I did forget in my principal's report. We did have move-up night. I think we were missing 9 kids, Mark. I think there was a total of 9 students out of the class of 2022. Full house. Mr. Halloran was with me the entire evening. He had a piece of the program too. Again, kudos to Lena and Denise McGlone. This year, they did a unique thing in the gym. They set up the co-curricula. It's almost like a college fair. When we have the colleges come in, we did the same thing with all the co-curriculum. A number of the faculty, kudos to them, came and made presentations at their table. So they manned their tables and passed out brochures, and some of them had PowerPoints or a video presentation. And then the kids and the parents moved throughout the building. They had a major presentation with Mr. Price on the scheduling, and then the kids, they, at the very end, they're eating, then they're doing their tours, the co-curricula, and then again, the video was part of that program for both the students, and it went well. If anything, the feedback we got, they wanted a little short. We started at 5:30 and went till 7:30. And I do understand that parents of young kids, it is a long night, but we do try to squeeze a lot in. It was a full house. Survey that parents, I gave them the survey, and the concerns that they have is obviously the communication with between the school and the students. They get overwhelmed with the size of the building, obviously coming from, but very positive responses they had in regards with the presentation. And Bob did a remarkable job with his department. And again, Denise and Lena, putting on that piece, which just makes it work. So it was a great night, pretty good night.
Was there an overnight for April?
Yes, that should have been, that
Yes.
music
Yeah.
that he's
We've
taken,
approved that.
7 kids, I think, down in Concord, 2 nights.
That was in committee, but we haven't brought it up to the board.
Friday and the Saturday, I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
12th through the 14th.
Correct,
Vote on
7
that.
kids. Mr. Gunn.
Are we doing that
That'd be
tonight?
great.
So what is this?
So they're taking a trip.
April.
We do it every year.
Yep, no, this is new.
Oh, this is
It's
new.
April 12th through the 14th.
Correct.
7 students
Qualified.
qualify for,
They're gonna be, it's a collaboration with Bow in Concord, and there's another school. But it's a different, it's not a regular overnight that we do all the time. These 7 kids qualified to participate in that program.
And what
it's-
is I'm sorry, I wasn't there. What is the program that they're?
It's a music, it's a instrument, it's, these kids are all state in the particular field of
Okay.
instrument they're playing.
They all get together and play, he said?
Yes,
Yeah,
they're
it
gonna,
was kind of a
they're gonna
collaborative.
collaborate with Bow, students
experience.
from Bow, students from Concord, there's, I think, maybe Merrimack Valley, but it's being centered in Concord. It's an all-day piece.
And then they
So-
have a performance that
Yes, they have a
evening?
performance on Saturday night, I think, yeah. And we're taking 7 kids.
And a cost of, or do we,
It was $140, I think, off the top of my head, and that was for the cost of the room. That was
And
it,
that's
the transportation,
committee.
we're taking care of.
To these minutes.
okay.
It was $140 for the 2 nights,
Total.
total.
Oh, jeez. All right, so coming from committee is the motion to approve this trip in April for the 7 students
With Mr. Gunn.
with Mr. Gunn. All those in favor? And it looks like it's unanimous. So I think we are into discussion item?
To
What's
the
that?
SEC, our next meeting is Monday, March 5th. Could I have that posted in our document, on our agenda next time?
Okay,
March 5th.
thank you. We do have a resignation from our Rumney representative, Ed Guerrero.
yes, Mr. Gallardo wrote a nice note to all of you, and I won't read the whole thing to you. He's sorry to inform you that you have to resign from his position. He's enjoyed his time serving on the board, but in the past year, there's been a medical issue within his family and a change in work schedule, and he feels he can't adequately represent the town of Rumney, and I believe there might be someone else who does have the time and energy to take the reins. I'll truly miss working with all of you on Mondays and Tuesdays. Sincerely, Ed Galliero. And we really appreciate Ed's time and efforts all those years that he served. The letter came in after the sign-up process. In fact, it came in January 29th, which was in the middle of people signing up, so we couldn't post it. So what we'll do is, in March, when things quiet down, we'll post for someone who's individuals who are interested in filling the slot for a year. And so you would appoint them until the next election. Then the seat would be for a one-year term, and then the following election it would be for its three-year term. So we keep the 5-4-4 rotation. So, but he asked that you accept his resignation tonight.
Do we have to vote on that?
Yes.
Yeah. So do I hear a motion to accept? Barbara seconded, Lisa?
Could I make a motion that we accept with gratitude and regret?
Certainly. So accepting Mr. Gallero's resignation with gratitude and regrets. All those in favor? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, deliberative session. Do all of you have the important document is the pink document, which is the warrant articles. That's what the moderator will be reading. And you can walk through it. The goldenrod sheet is a help sheet. It does have an error on it, and I apologize. If you look at Article 4, thank you to Sam for picking this up. The settlement's for 3 years, not 4 years. So you can see that. The goldenrod sheet is not an official form. It's just sort of a help sheet for folks sitting there. So the error is inconsequential, other than we made an error on it. But the first article is the standard negotiate and execute tuition contracts. Second one is borrowing. Third one is contingency. The fourth one is the support staff agreement. The fifth is the purchase of the property that abuts us. The sixth is the advisory article asking for the district's opinion on selling the lot the district owns on Highland Street. And Article 7 is the operating budget. So there are two parts to this, Madam Chair. One is we would need a board member to move the article so it can get up onto the floor for discussion. So we've historically assigned and you literally tell the moderator, Mr. Moderator, to move the article, get a second, and off we go. And then the second part is assigning a board member either to respond to comments or to take the lead and say, this is what this article is about. And if I could, Madam Chair, I would request that you allow me to address Articles 5 and 6 on property. And then I've been practicing for weeks this week.
Sam, have you been practicing for weeks that you could do Article 4?
I haven't been practicing for weeks, only about a couple days, but I'd be happy to do Article 4.
Does anyone have a preference as to what other articles? So Peter's number 1. Would you like to be number 2, Melinda?
Sure.
I guess I'll do number 3. Keep it harder here. Lisa's on for 4. These are commuting articles.
I'm on for 4.
But this is, oh, okay.
Moving
Unless I
questions.
just got demoted.
Yeah, just move and And answer any questions.
Oh, okay, so you want me to move and answer questions?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I think that's just as easy, you're right.
It's over.
So-
That's
I can
fine.
move 5 and 6, and then Mark can
Yeah.
do
Okay.
his thing.
And I will actually get up, Madam Chair, make a presentation on both of them, and then respond to any questions that folks might have.
All right. Bernie, can you handle 7?
I certainly can move it.
That's all I'm asking.
And we'll jump in.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, because that
A lot of
could be
money.
a tough one, yeah.
I may do a brief, I will point out some sheets that they have and just some general information that's there. They generally have the sheets, and then off they go. So that's the prep, Madam Chair.
All right. And we already talked about the meeting on the 19th.
Right.
There will be no meeting on the 20th, Tuesday.
No meeting on the 20th. We'll do the 3 committees and then the full board meeting, and you have the 20th off. And then we won't see you again until mid-March, because the first meeting in March is part of school district meeting week, and all of you have other things to do. So,
So the second meeting in March. Or not?
Yeah, we'll meet the second meeting in March after the elections, after the votes.
And we'll have all those dates, we'll have your spring dates confirmed for you at the next meeting. I'll give you a little calendar for the rest of the spring term. We have a little flex in the spring. You know, we do the nominations and things, but it's not as busy.
Any board member concerns? Do I hear a motion to go into non-public for personnel? Peter, seconded by, thank you. And then you next.